Mr. Chandra, thanks so much for joining in. And we are on talking about the GST rate cut essentially, which has been one of the key positive triggers essentially for the auto sector. We've seen GST reduction on cars, tractors, trucks across the board, and that seems to be just a time before the festive season starts. So it could have a multiplier effect, to say the least. Give us your first views on the reduction.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. I think this is a landmark decision and a massive reform by the government of India, and we wholeheartedly welcome this move because this is definitely going to have a multiplier effect in the economy, and it will be driving the consumption overall. For auto industry specifically, I can say that the massive reduction from 28, 31% bracket down to 18%, and then 43 to 50% bracket down to nearly 40% is going to significantly boost the demand. And primarily for the entry segment and for the middle income customers, this is a big boost. And I'm sure that, especially coming ahead of the festive season, this is going to massively help in driving demand. And we are very hopeful of a very strong festive period, therefore, this year on the back of the GST reform which has been announced.
Mr. Chandra, let me just take a couple of points you mentioned, because we've seen the two-wheeler base also not reach their highs which were last seen in 2019. And as well for small cars, we've seen with the onset of SUVs and the growth and the preference for buyers because of safety norms amongst others, the pricing had just gone completely out of whack for smaller cars. Talk to us a little bit about entry-level vehicles, both on the cars as well as on the two-wheeler side, and what is the key expectations that you are talking essentially with the companies as well in terms of revival of this segment, to say the least.
Yeah, starting with the two-wheeler segment, as you rightly said, that the last peak that the category had seen was in 2019. And despite last 2 to 3 years of growth that we have seen in this segment, it has still not hit that peak, unlike the other categories. And therefore, a 10% reduction will have a significant impact for the two-wheeler, and it should more than surpass the 2019 numbers, without doubt, because entry segment and the middle income group is likely to benefit and respond the most, and therefore two-wheeler segment definitely will see a significant revival, after 2019, I would say. As far as car segment is concerned, you rightly said that the real addition of demand is going to come in the entry side, where people who earlier thought they could not afford a car, they will now start thinking of buying a new car. There will also be, people who are already in the market today with a certain budget. Now they will see the higher, segment cars more accessible to them, and you'll also see therefore some segmental shift for the upgraders or already who are in the market with a certain budget. So overall, I think the entry segment will see the maximum benefit, given that there is a 10 to 13% kind of a reduction in this category. And SUV segments, the bigger cars and all are also reducing from say 48% to 50%. So overall, we'll see growth everywhere, but real addition is going to come in the entry side.
And Mr. Chandra, safe to say that this will be a straight pass-through to the consumer for revival of these segments. Would that be a correct assumption?
See, as SIAM, we don't discuss the pricing topic, because of the regulatory issues. So I'm sure that individual members will be taking a call on that. But I think the intent and spirit of the reduction by the government is well understood by all the members. And I would reckon that this whole benefit should be passed to the customers is what we can expect.
And Mr. Chandra, talk to us a little bit about what's happening on the ground, because we've seen this announcement largely by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on 15th of August come as a surprise to a lot of companies as well as customers. Now, we did see some kind of inventory build-up normally before the festive seasons of Onam, amongst others. So there is currently inventory with the dealers, and we seem to be seeing that a lot of customers are holding off their purchases, and rightly so, till September 22nd, when the reduction comes. Talk to us currently, what are you seeing on the ground, and what are the current conversations essentially that you're having with dealers as well as with the OEM companies to, take this period off, at least in the short-term pressure which they might be seeing?
Yeah, I think, one thing, from a demand perspective after 22nd or 22nd onwards is going to see a big boost. For one festive season, you generally see that there is a 35 to 50% increase in demand than the average demand that you see during the year. The second booster is, of course, GST reduction itself will boost the demand. And the third factor is, since the announcement on 15th August by Honorable Prime Minister, there has been a pent-up which has been building, which will keep building till 22nd. So all three factors is going to give a huge surge and need for delivering vehicles after 22nd. So having stock will be a good thing for the dealership. As close as you are to the retail point, that is something which will be expected. But definitely, there's going to be a short-term pressure till 22nd as far as the working capital requirement is concerned, and different manufacturers will work with their different, and their dealers to handle this situation.
Let me ask you about auto parts, because was there any kind of conversations that you've had with the government of reduction of this as well? Because this would have also helped control a lot of cost for you specifically, as well as for your members as well.
There had been a discussion on the clarity on the inverted duty structure. So, that auto components were, attracting GST rates of 18 and 28%. And therefore, it used to lead to more understanding of which bracket it used to fall into. And that used to create some level of inverted duty structure. I think there the clarity has come with full understanding of which falls in which category, and this bringing it down to 18% really helps now. So to that extent, we had been discussing.
And Mr. Chandra, as you rightly mentioned that, we will see some kind of short-term pressure essentially for dealers. But from the onset of September 22nd onwards, there would be a lot of pent-up demand which might just start at that time as well. And, just having a conversation with a couple of dealers since the morning, and they feel that, the demand could be much stronger essentially than what is the expectations that we could have, sitting here in studios. Give us some perspective that, while we could see some pressure, could we have one of the best festive seasons that we've had since the pandemic?
Theoretically, absolutely yes. Because as I said, let me give some arithmetics around that. As I said that in festive period, you see a 35 to 50% surge in demand. So business as usual itself should have given 35 to 50% surge in demand. Then, as you said, pent up demand, I think for last, from 15th August to say 22nd, we would be seeing certain level of pent up. Now, very difficult to size that, but in PV industry, I would still expect this to be, uh, say, about 15 to 20% of the monthly sales, or even higher, that would have been getting billed as pent up. And now, I would say last month it would have been to that extent, and now this month, from now to 22nd, there will be a significant pent up which will get built. Difficult to size right now, but that will be sitting as bookings, not retailed in many cases. And third, I think is general uplift because of GST, which is also to be sized. So I'm absolutely agreeing to the point that we will be surprised to what extent there will be an expectation of delivery by the customers. But as we come closer to the 22nd, with the flow of bookings that we are going to see from now to 22nd, will give us a fair idea of what is the requirement of delivery during the festive period.
Just last question was largely on, is there anything more that the auto industry has asked for from the government at the time? Because we've seen a slowdown essentially in the passenger car segment, and some slowdown seen in two-wheeler space as well. Currently, what any kind of conversations that you've had with the government, or what more could be needed, making maybe the working capital extension from banks to dealers at this particular point of time? And if any comment that you might have between, the growing relations between India and China. So the rare earth magnet crisis, which has dominated the headlines over the past 6 months, might be fading away now. That'll just be my last question.
No, see, from request from us to the government for many years, as from SIAM side, had been to reduce the GST rates from 28% to 18%, and I think government has delivered on that request. So nothing additional we were expecting. There's one short-term request that we have also given to the government is to really address the issue of cess compensation, where we are still lacking clarity, and we are hoping that government will come with some transitionary mechanism to handle this issue. So that's the only additional thing which is left, and we are hoping for some direction there.
And anything that you can speak about the rare earth crisis as well, because we've seen that both the countries have actually met at the SCO as well, and seems to be an issue that largely would be behind us. Any clarity that you've gotten from the last time we spoke, sir?
No, I think there's no additional thing. I am not the expert of the geopolitics, but that is not something which I would like to comment. But as far as the rare earth situation is concerned, I think all the members are managing with the inventories that they have been working with, and certain mid to long term actions also that each member is working on. I think that continues. Beyond that, there is nothing to add.